This just happened, my friend, and it's already setting the Raiders' backrooms on fire. The season is still young, but Las Vegas enters Week 4 with a chance to turn things around and salvage what seemed lost. Like now and subscribe to the channel, because what I'm about to tell you about the chances of winning, the trades, and the roster adjustments will set you on fire and change your outlook on the season. The Las Vegas Raiders season has started in tumultuous and frustrating fashion for their fans. After several attempts to rebuild the franchise, the team is still searching for stability and consistency, especially on its home turf. But Week 4 is approaching, and with it, the opportunity to turn the tide and salvage the season. A crucial chance for the Raiders to redeem themselves with their fans and prove they still have the strength to strive for something bigger. Allegiant Stadium, inaugurated as one of the most modern and promising stadiums in the NFL, has become a symbol of the Raiders' quest for a renaissance. However, what we've seen so far hasn't exactly been what we expected. With a home record of 19 wins and 24 losses, the team has yet to transform Allegiant Stadium into a true fortress. What should have been a weather advantage ends up becoming a disappointment, with the stands often dominated by the opposing fans. The situation is worse when the team itself fails to live up to expectations. The pressure on the Raiders to change this situation has never been greater. They have perhaps the best infrastructure and atmosphere in the league, but they still lack something essential: a true home field advantage. This weekend's game against the Chicago Bears represents a turning point. It's the perfect opportunity to respond positively to the fans and show that a team can be different on its home turf. Raiders coach Pete Carroll is fully aware of this. In a recent interview, he stated, "We need to use home advantage to our advantage. It's an important game for us and our fans. They deserve a home field advantage that makes them proud, and our goal is to achieve more home wins." Carroll's words couldn't be clearer. The pressure on the players is enormous, and this match needs to be seen as a turning point. For the fans, the game against the Bears isn't just another game. It's the moment they hope time will show their strength, grit, and above all, their commitment to the expectations they've created since Allegiant Stadium opened. If the Raiders can secure a victory, it will not only save their season, but also create a wave of optimism around the team, something the franchise hasn't experienced in a long time. But, as always, the biggest challenge will be overcoming their own past mistakes. The Raiders face a dilemma: play with confidence and make the most of their fans' support, or continue falling into a downward spiral where with each defeat, hopes fade a little further. The fans, who have proven themselves passionate and loyal, need more than words. They will turn off actions, and the only way to restore confidence will be with consistent victories. The question lingering in every fan's mind is clear: will the Raiders finally be able to utilize Allegiant Stadium as a true fortress, transforming it into a stage of victory and pride for their fans? Time has a chance to prove that survival isn't just a matter of words, but of action and performance on the field. The impact of a victory at Allegiant Stadium will be profound, not just for the season, but for the future of the franchise. The Raiders need to understand that expectations are high, and that the opportunity to turn the home game around is unique. But while time tries to transform Allegiant Stadium into a fortress, the behind-the-scenes are already working on another front: potential negotiations that could completely change the fate of key players this season. The immediate future of the Las Vegas Raiders seems to be hanging by a thread. After a promising start to the season, the reality of a season still under construction and far from its best is beginning to crystallize. But the question that is beginning to emerge in conversations about the franchise's future is, will the Raiders begin to shed valuable pieces to secure a better future? In a scenario that doesn't seem optimistic, one of the biggest questions looming over the season is the potential trade of Malcolm Koonce, the talented pass rusher who has shown potential but hasn't yet become the star many expected. With an $11 million contract and inconsistent performance so far, Koonce has become a name increasingly discussed behind the scenes. For the Raiders, trading Koonce may be the best option. With their offensive performance underwhelming and their defense struggling to find its feet, the Raiders may see Koonce as a valuable trade asset. But who would be willing to pay a good price for him? Koonce, with just one sack so far this season and a history of injuries, isn't exactly at the peak of his career. However, his potential is undeniable, and in a league often lacking pass rushers, he could be a good option for other franchises. The San Francisco 49ers, for example, are seeing their defense ravaged by injuries, especially with the loss of quarterback Nick Bosa, who suffered a torn ACL and is out for the season. Therefore, San Francisco could be eyeing Koonce as a way to strengthen their defensive line. While it's a risk, the need to find a replacement for Bosa makes Koonce a viable option. However, the prospects for a return from a potential trade aren't encouraging. Koonce is still recovering from an injury, and his numbers this season haven't exactly been impressive. Many analysts believe that, in a best-case scenario, the Raiders will only get a fourth-round pick in the Koonce trade. His lack of consistency and the fact that he's still trying to establish himself in the league limit his trade options. What the Raiders need now is to see Kuntz shine. If he can increase his production and improve his numbers in the coming games, his market value could rise significantly, allowing the franchise to secure a more significant return in a potential trade. However, time is against him. With a one-year contract and the possibility of becoming a free agent in 2026, Kuntz is in a delicate position. For the Raiders, keeping Kuntz and hoping he becomes a dominant pass rusher may be the safest path, but at the same time, the idea of trading a piece for a future return is something the Raiders cannot ignore, especially if the season continues to be a negative trend. Ultimately, the Raiders need to make smart decisions. It's not just about finding a replacement for Kuntz, but also about evaluating whether he fits into the future of the franchise. And if talks about trades have already stirred up the franchise's corridors, changes on the field are also inevitable, with adjustments to the roster happening as early as Week 4. As the clock ticks down and the season moves into Week 4, the Las Vegas Raiders find themselves in a shaky but strategic position. The first few weeks of the season have shown that the team isn't yet ready to compete for a title, but there are still opportunities to improve and adjust to the dynamics of the season. And that's exactly what the season is trying to do with a series of roster changes and adjustments. The main change involves tight ends Albert Oakland Jr. and Carter Runyon, who were activated to the main roster after impressing during training camp and the preseason. These changes are significant, especially considering the injuries and departures of key players, such as tight end Michael Mayer, who was sidelined due to health concerns. Oakwegbunam and Runyon arrive with the goal of strengthening a department that, despite its promise, has yet to show its true strength. Albert Oakwegbunam, who was drafted by the Denver Broncos and had stints with the Philadelphia Eagles and Indianapolis Colts, brings valuable experience to the table. Oakwegbunam has 54 receptions, 546 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the NFL, giving him a respectable resume. The Raiders' signing could be a smart move to leverage the experience of a player who already has a strong track record of contributions on the field. If he plays against the Chicago Bears, it will be his regular starting role since 2023, and he's expected to quickly fit into the lineup. On the other hand, Carter Runyon, an undrafted free agent from Towson, surprised coaches during the preseason with 6 receptions and 74 yards. Although still a hot prospect, Runyon has already shown potential and promises to bring new energy to the lineup. His inclusion in the main roster could be a direct response to the need to find a more efficient solution for the tight end position, which has become more vulnerable after Mayer's departure. These moves show that the Raiders are making important roster adjustments to prepare for what promises to be a long and challenging season. The search for quick solutions, such as activating Oakwegbunam and Runyon, is an attempt to ensure the tempo doesn't weaken in key areas. The expectation is that these new players can provide energy and creativity for team play going forward. The Raiders know that the tight end position has been a weak point, and that adding these players could be what's needed to give the offense more options. This change could be key to establishing more confidence in the passing game and allowing for more unpredictable tempo in offensive operations. The game against the Chicago Bears, therefore, becomes a perfect stage to test these roster changes. Will the Raiders be able to make the necessary adjustments to win and show that the team is truly evolving? Time will tell, but the Raiders are clearly trying every possible way to turn the tide and give the tempo a new look. Based on the changes and challenges facing the Raiders, how do you think the team can leverage roster moves, potential trades, and the pressure of playing at home to turn their season around and secure a playoff spot? Leave your opinion here, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later to update you with the latest Raiders news.